Straight ahead on 12 News, a sleep study eye-opener, what it reveals about our kids' sleep needs and how it could impact school start times. Then, have a penny?
And I just saved every penny I got for 20 years.
See what one Brooklyn Park man does with his spare change. But first, right to the governor's doorstep, a Golden Valley resident joins a large crowd in the push for a cause close to her heart. 12 News starts right now. It is looking more unlikely a medical marijuana bill will pass this legislative session.
Today, Governor Dayton voiced his concerns. Meanwhile, supporters of the bill sent a special message to him. Here's Sonia Goins.
Currently, right now, the governor is inside using what his doctors have told him could help his pain and his suffering.
About 50 people marched up to the front steps of the governor's mansion.
And all I'm asking the governor is to make sure that I can have that same ability.
Governor Dayton is recovering from hip surgery. The group Minnesotans for Compassionate Care dropped off this big Get Well card.
It's a gentle way of getting him to listen to us and understand.
Beth Hunley is from Golden Valley. Her 2-year-old daughter Harlow suffers from Dravet syndrome, a rare form of epilepsy.
In Harlow's 2 years of life, we've probably been in an ambulance 15 times to save her life. We just need the governor to understand how desperate our children need this.
Harlow has many seizures each day. Her family says medical marijuana could help cut down on the number.
These medicines are not working, and there are so many people that could benefit, and it just doesn't seem like he's making any concessions or willing to listen to us, and he still is using the law enforcement as his excuse.
Despite the large turnout, Governor Dayton says he will not sign a medical marijuana bill without the support of law enforcement, and he's encouraging both sides to try to work on a compromise. Governor Dayton held a phone conference this morning. He says he's against legalizing raw marijuana, but he would consider other forms if law enforcement was on board.
I think both law enforcement and my administration are willing to stretch beyond what the normal procedures are to allow pills to be sold that contain marijuana ingredients or oils.
For now, Harlow's family is hoping a compromise will be reached sooner rather than later.
I have the best friends and family, and they love Harlow to death, and they know what we go through as a family. And she just needs every option possible to live a normal life like every kid deserves.
Governor Dayton says he is worried about the distribution of medical marijuana and believes more research needs to be done. Meantime, law enforcement groups say they are against legalizing medical marijuana because it could end up in the wrong hands.
Now to a challenge facing schools, making sure every student gets a nutritious breakfast. Studies show it helps improve learning, and school administrators say it can help reduce the achievement gap.
No matter what adults do, children should not pay the price. And that's something that we owe to our kids. It depends a lot on whether or not you want to have all kids learn or you just want some of the kids to learn, because the poverty and so on that we're seeing, the 100 languages in the home, all that makes it more difficult for kids to learn.
A bill approved by a Senate committee Wednesday would make school breakfast available to all students. It would cost the state an additional $6 million to do that. Lawmakers in favor say it would remove the stigma for low-income students who are eligible for free breakfast but are afraid to take advantage of the meals. Studies have repeatedly shown that teens need at least 8 hours of sleep every night, but we all know that doesn't happen very often.
A new study finds that one way to change that might be to delay school start times. Reporter Cassie Bonstrom has more. Cassie?
Yeah, the study found that there are tremendous benefits overall for kids when schools start at 8:30 a.m. or later. It's not exactly good news for our local high schools. Currently, Wayzata and Cooper have the earliest start times at 7:20 a.m. Hopkins has the latest start time at 7:47. The new study, however, may get districts to think twice about those times. Researchers have long suspected that school start times have an impact on students' academics and overall health. Now they have the data to back it up.
We have proof. We have conclusive proof.
Dr. Kyla Wallstrom at the University of Minnesota spearheaded the 3-year study. She and other researchers gathered data from 9,000 students at 8 high schools in 3 states. The results? First of all, students' sleep improves significantly.
This whole thing circles around human biology.
When school started at 8:30, 66% of students said they got 8 or more hours of sleep. When school started at 7:30, only 34% of students got that much sleep. And the research shows more sleep leads to better decision making.
The 8 hours seems to be the point at which kids are making healthier choices.
The study also found that students at schools that started at 8:30 or later had improved attendance and test scores. Their tardiness and need for caffeinated drinks decreased. The teens also reported fewer symptoms of depression.
They're ready for learning.
Perhaps the most surprising finding of all, however, was related to teen driving.
Over the course of this past year, where they've had the late start, their car crash rates reduced by 70%, which is remarkable. It's 70% is an incredible amount of reduction.
It's eye-opening data, but Dr. Wallstrom says it's now up to the districts to decide what to do with it.
My hope is that now that the information is out, school districts can have an informed discussion about what the research is showing and how this can have an impact on kids.
Now, the Wayzata School District says they are aware of the data and they're considering some changes to their high school schedule. Nothing has been decided yet, but the earliest a change could happen would be the fall of 2016 when the expansion of the high school is complete. And that, it's not for sure, but that's a possibility.
A couple years down the road, though,
Yes.
possibly. Thanks a lot, Cassie. New housing figures show just how much our brutal winter has impacted home sales, but the weather isn't the whole story. The number of closings across the Twin Cities metro dropped 14% in February. In Plymouth, closings were down 29%. In Robbinsdale and in Golden Valley, they were down 40%. Besides the weather, real estate agents attribute the declines to a shortage of homes for sale. The number of homes on the market is the lowest in nearly a decade.
And for the 6th consecutive month, Minnesota gained jobs. The state's unemployment rate, however, remained unchanged. Minnesota's unemployment rate stands at 4.7%, nearly 2 points below the national average. The state did gain 600 jobs in January. The leisure and hospitality sector added the most jobs. Employees at a local pet food store are now going home with larger paychecks. Chuck and Don's has raised the minimum wage of its workers to $10.10 an hour. The new wage is almost $3 more than the federal minimum wage, and company executives believe a raise was the right thing to do.
It's our team that has made us successful, from the team members up to our assistant managers, and so as we've been successful, it's just a natural thing to do is to share that prosperity with our team.
Chuck and Don's has stores in Maple Grove, Plymouth, and Wayzata.
A Democrat has officially entered the race against Republican Congressman Eric Paulson. Sharon Sund announced her candidacy for Minnesota's 3rd Congressional District. Sund is a scientist and a businesswoman from Plymouth. She says she's running against Paulson because he has contributed to, quote, government shutdown tactics and endless cuts. With the election only 8 months away, she explained her rationale for announcing her candidacy now.
It's a big obligation, it's a big responsibility, and I really needed to take that time. And also, I wanted to make sure that I was the person that people wanted to hear.
Minnesota's 3rd Congressional District is among the most politically moderate in the country. President Obama narrowly won it during the last election. Coming up, we'll meet an Osseo student who isn't afraid to take on a challenge.
Now he's putting music and math into motion. Then later in sports, the Park Center girls basketball team gets set to take on playoff nemesis De La Salle.
But first, another day of 40s on Friday before a slight cool down.
This week's Standout student is not afraid of taking on a challenge.
In fact, it's quite the opposite. The Osseo High School senior pursues challenges, whether it's in music or math.
So your goal is to be able to figure out what the pressure is.
Figuring out college-level calculus doesn't come easy to Ekene Ikegwuani, but this 17-year-old loves the challenge.
It's really hard for me, but I do enjoy just figuring out a problem, finding the answer.
It's that sense of challenge and accomplishment that helps fuel one of Ekene's passions. An accomplished trumpet player, seen here in the back row with his Osseo High School concert band, Ekene is also the drum major for the school's marching band.
Masters something and then he goes out and tries to learn something new.
Band director Steve Bulka describes Ekene as the kind of student every teacher dreams of having in the classroom.
He's kind of the quintessential high school student. You know, he's smart, he's caring, he's talented, and always wanting to help other people.
One of the ways Ekene uses music to help people is by volunteering to play calming pieces on his trumpet at the hospice center where his mother works.
It's just a universal language that everyone understands, and you can go so many places with it, and everyone appreciates that.
You need to put this on a coordinate plane.
With the end of high school near, Ekene is starting to turn his attention toward the future.
I want to pursue a major in biomedical engineering with a minor in psychology because eventually my hopes are to become a neurologist.
It's a career path offering challenge and the opportunity to help others. And this 17-year-old isn't afraid to go for it.
Grab the dream that you want, because if you don't try to go for it, then you won't get it.
Already, Ekene has been accepted at the University of Wisconsin and the University of Minnesota. Coming up, a Brooklyn Park man who pinches pennies with a purpose.
But first, an exciting opportunity for a local youth hockey team. We'll be right back.
Northwest Suburban Conference girls basketball runner-up Park Center is in a section championship game for a fourth straight season. The Pirates beat St. Paul Como Park 62-41 Tuesday to advance to the Section 3 Class 3A final. With a 22-5 record, this is the best Park Center team in the past 4 seasons. This group is confident that after 3 straight losses in the final, it's their turn to get to state.
You know, we've been there before, and now we really want it this year. We have a good team to get there and win it, so that's what our hope is.
They know they've been there and fell short a couple of years in a row here now, so they're ready. Kayla's ready. She's being a great leader right now, and I mean, I think right now it's just preparation the same way we always do it for Friday and get ready for that game.
To do that, the Pirates will have to defeat playoff nemesis De La Salle, the team that's ended their season each of the past 3 years. The Islanders may be down a little bit this year, but will present a challenge to top-seeded Pirates. Tip-off is at 6 o'clock Friday at Anoka High School. A local powerhouse adapted athletic program takes aim at another state title this weekend. The Robbins PI team, representing Robbinsdale, Hopkins, and Mound West Tonka, is shooting for a 4th consecutive state floor hockey title. The Robins enter this year's tournament with a 13-0 record. They are the #1 seed from the North Division. It's been a strong season so far that they hope to continue this weekend.
So far, we're undefeated. We have a great record so far, and we hope to win another state title this year.
Everyone needs to play a very good, aggressive defense, and for offense, make sure to crowd shenanigans with those rebounds.
I think at first we were kind of apprehensive because last year we lost a lot of good players, but that just motivated us to bring on our A game more. So we just had to, at first it was kind of hesitant, but I feel like now we're really confident and we're doing really good.
Besides the 3 straight championships in floor hockey, the Robins have also won 6 in a row in soccer and 5 straight in softball. They don't ignore the past titles, but try not to dwell on them either.
I mean, you always talk about it a little bit. I mean, there's quite a history that we have to acknowledge and be proud of. But, once that's over with, once you're done with that trophy presentation, it's another season. We've got work to do. Nothing's guaranteed.
The Robins take on Minneapolis South at 5 o'clock Friday afternoon. Also at 5, Anoka Hennepin faces off with Rochester. Then at 6:30, Wayzata Minnetonka meets Dakota United. 2 local squads make up part of the CI State Tournament field. Maple Grove, representing all of District 279, is the #3 seed from the North Conference. They'll meet Burnsville, Farmington, Lakeville in the quarterfinals at 6:30 Friday. Anoka Hennepin plays Dakota United at 8. Both tournaments are at Bloomington, Jefferson. It's state tournament weekend for Minnesota youth hockey. An Armstrong-Cooper team got a good send-off for their trip. Friends and families gathered at New Hope Arena to celebrate the Armstrong-Cooper Pee Wee A team's trip to state. It's believed to be the first state appearance in close to 30 years for the association. Their fans signed a banner wishing the team well that they'll bring to the state tournament in Crookston.
It's a great experience because our team has worked so hard during the season, and it's finally paid off, and we got to go to state.
Like I said before, it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, especially for this association.
which doesn't normally get the opportunity to go. For these kids to get the chance, it's great. You know, we're not the Edinas and Maple Groves that are the powerhouses. We're a small-based community, small team numbers, and kids that just love to play the game.
Armstrong-Cooper has won 35 games so far this season. They meet Alexandria in the first round of the state tournament at 6 p.m. Friday at the Crookston Sports Center. Long drive for hockey, but good luck to them.
Thanks, John.
Yes.
We'll be right back. Some call him brilliant, others call him crazy.
John Ebert of Brooklyn Park says he's a little bit of both, and reporter Sharon Slatton explains what he's creating inside his home.
For 20 years, I never handed the cashier a penny.
John Ebert knows a thing or two about saving money.
I would hand them bills and they give me coins back.
So if a penny saved is a penny earned,
And I just saved every penny I got for 20 years. And this is where you end up.
John Ebert earns his way as a part-time penny pincher.
And I had been just holding on to pennies, thinking I'll find something cool or interesting to do with them someday.
In John's Brooklyn Park home, on a table he built himself and under a camera he hung from above,
It's really going to take a long time.
John does his meticulous work 1 cent at a time.
It does take a lot of patience, perseverance, and then determination, which is the name I chose for the piece of art when it's done.
First, he sorted pennies by color.
I dumped out maybe 100 or 150 at a time and split them into shiny ones and dark ones and ones in between.
When he gets 4 distinct groups,
You can make a map of the U.S. with 4 colors.
he'll make a map of the U.S., starting with Florida
I'm just working very hard this time to get it as distinct as I can.
and going north from there.
Tennessee is the hardest one to get the color right because it touches 9 other states.
Each penny or dot is stacked 6 high with heads up.
I get 30 pennies for West Virginia and about 10 or 11 for Maryland. And just that's it, it's 30 dots. And to try to arrange that and make it actually look like the state is really hard to do.
The pennies are held in place with acrylic discs
I'm not done with these discs yet. There's over 4,000 of them.
in a project that will take weeks to finish.
I got no timetable, I got no pressure. I can take all the time I want and pick how to do it in a way that just is as good as I can do it and make it look as good as I can.
In Brooklyn Park, Shannon Slatton, 12 News.
Ebert says he has no idea what will happen to his artwork when he's finished. He does know he will need some help moving it. He thinks the finished piece will weigh like 500 pounds or more.
Wow.
That's perseverance,
That
isn't it?
is a good cold winter activity.
He's got half of Florida done.
That's right.
That'll do it. That's it for now. Thanks for joining us, everybody.
Community Corner is coming up next, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.